Hello, and welcome to this week's live timeline session. We are, for anybody who doesn't know and hasn't been following along with this series, I am going through one of the actual timelines from my method book, The Next Generation Clarinet Method, to give you all a taste of it. If you don't have the Next Generation Clarinet Method yourself, which if you don't, you should get it, go to quickstartclarinet.com/nextgenbook to learn more about the whole program. But it's also for people who do already have the program to sort of see what it's like to work through these timelines and see how to get the most out of it. My sort of motto as of late is just to do the simple stuff better, and I think this program captures that really well, where it's just all about taking these really simple things and doing them to a very, very high level to really get mastery and control over the instrument. Real quick before we get started, I'm going to turn the light on so that you can see me. It doesn't make a big difference, but it makes a little difference. And let me go ahead and get my timers going and we'll get started. So the first thing that we do is our daily warm-up, which starts with some good long tones, just regular old scale long tones. This time I'm actually going to start at the bottom of the scale long tones, since I don't usually make it that far in the time limit. So here we go with our long tones. So I'm experimenting a lot, making a lot of adjustments, as you can hear, just trying to find my best sound and find something that I'm really happy with. And also get the transitions between all of the notes really well. Now working back up through the page. I'm going to try real quick a little bit softer. I'm not super happy with the sound quality, but I can't like put my finger on what I don't like about it. Just real quick. Okay, I like that better. Actually, playing soft really helped me to sort of focus things in. So that's a great thing to do as you're sort of working through these exercises as well. It's just experiment with little changes like that can sometimes get things dialed in. I think this reed doesn't love being pushed so much. It doesn't love playing super loud. And I was playing quite loud before and it wasn't quite holding up. So playing softer helped me to sort of focus things in, and then I could get a bigger sound from there. Awesome. And next up we have our technique. Let me pull this one up. Our finger flexibility. And I'm going to do the stepwise motion this time. And I'm going to, again, work backwards because I always don't have enough time to make it to the ends of the exercises. So I'm going to just work my way backwards so that I can get through those notes, but still take as much time as I want to get the quality out of them. And for this one, I'll sort of stand up so you can see my fingers. And it's also good practice for me to get good fingers while standing. And I'm still thinking a lot about sound quality, especially since I wasn't 100% happy with it on the long tones. And I'm going to go ahead and turn my metronome on because that's always good practice with these things, and see if I can keep that precision with the metronome going. And especially on these throat tones, I'm thinking about not letting these other fingers or my wrist move as much as possible. And I'm trying some other fingering options. It's great to be really, really comfortable with the sort of normal fingerings, but if you can get all of the alternate fingerings comfortable too, that's an extra bonus. That one I was just testing if my finger was in a good position. My pinky is moving a lot on this particular one. My pinky's moving with that ring finger. Let me see if I can isolate that just for good measure. That's really, really challenging. I've never noticed that my pinky's moving with that, so that's a great thing to check in with. That's like mental gymnastics in my fingers. That's really kind of funny, actually, how much concentration that takes. But I'm going to keep working my way backwards. That's probably close to the time. Yep, we just have 10 seconds left. So I'll say that's a good stopping point for the technique. Yes, a good stopping point. I'm still not 100% happy with the sound quality, so this is a good thing to be sort of exploring and experimenting with as we continue through the warm-ups. But for now, we're on to our scale articulation. And this I'm also going to do with a metronome for good measure. We'll start really relaxed and easy so that I have more time to think about the quality of the sound and the articulation. I can't believe I keep getting water in the register key. That's so weird. That feels pretty good. I'm really thinking about the stability of my tongue, which is something that sort of came up for me last week, and I'm really liking to continue exploring that. Now I'm going to do it staccato and see if I can keep that stability of the back and the middle of the tongue while just the tip of the tongue does the articulating. I was feeling pretty good. I still have about 40 seconds left. Let's try doing it faster just to see how that goes. And I'm just going to bump it up quite a lot faster. And we'll see. So this is 160, but I'm still thinking eighth notes. That's the time, but just to push myself and see, let's see if I can even come close to 16th notes at 160. It's never a bad idea to push yourself. You just don't want to constantly be pushing yourself and form bad habits. So just a little bit's good for you. So let's see if I can do 16th. Yeah, tonguing 16th notes at 160 is a little bit crazy, especially in that long of consecutive articulations and single tonguing too. But that was okay. I felt really good about the articulation overall, and I think I'm starting to find the sound quality that I want, which brings us to the actual focus of the session for today. And while I'm reading this, I'm going to swab out because it's always good to swab and take a break. And actually, in the official timelines, I do recommend taking about a 5-minute break, or less if you want, but just to take a little break at this point. But what we have today is page 39, the arpeggios, and the purpose for this. By now, you should be quite comfortable with these notes. With the notes in these scales, which is important because these arpeggios are the most technically demanding exercises thus far. Use the metronome to make sure all of your rhythms are precise. Keep your air support going throughout and think carefully about how you aim at each note to get the very best sound and smooth connections as you make bigger leaps from note to note. So let's go ahead and pull up page 39 and do some of these arpeggios. And I'll do it with the metronome because I said to do it with the metronome. And we're not going to go 160 on these. We'll go back to 100. And actually, it's written in 16th notes, but I'm going to make the click the 8th note technically. So technically, we're going quarter note equals 50. Nice and slow and comfortable to start. So I went back into that again for the evenness of the triplets, which is a little bit tricky when the metronome's going in 8th notes. I saw Keishana is here. Excellent. Getting an oboe today, that'll be fun. Oboe is challenging. I've never played oboe that much, but I've tried it a few times and did not go well. What I'm playing is the arpeggios from the Next Generation Clarinet method, which is my method book. Let's try it again. More sound quality and more continuous everything is my goal at this time. arpeggios are the best. Let me try again now with this being the quarter note, so we're going to go double the speed that I just did now that I feel comfortable with where the notes are. That felt pretty good. I saw a question. Piata Panaset asked, do you have any tips for high notes? Yes, I do. I've made several videos on high notes, actually. So if you just search YouTube for QuickStart Clarinet high notes, you'll probably find some. It depends what high notes you're talking about. If you're talking about just crossing the break, then that would be a good one to check out. QuickStart Clarinet crossing the break, it should come up that way. If you're talking about the altissimo, which is C sharp and higher, then QuickStart Clarinet altissimo, and you should find my video on that. My general tip for high notes is, one, make sure that your reed is hard enough. That doesn't mean that you necessarily need to be on a harder reed than you are, but just make sure that you aren't on a super soft reed, because that'll just make things difficult. And then two is more air, keep the embouchure as steady as possible. As you see when I do like the first arpeggio here, the embouchure is totally steady. Nothing has to change for those notes. Even if I were to go higher, it's not until that very top C that I really need to think too much about pushing more pressure to get the pitch to come up high enough on those. And again, this reed's a little bit on the softer side, so maybe on a harder reed, I wouldn't have to do that as much. So steady, steady. Really think about your fingers covering all the holes as you get into those higher notes, and just lots of air. Think about aiming the air nice and high. That kind of airstream as you get into the higher notes. Hopefully that helps. Now on to A minor arpeggios. And I'm going to start at that nice half speed again. Let me do this whole one at the faster speed now to get comfortable with that. That's like one specific interval that I didn't like, so I'm isolating that. And the more I think about it being an exact rhythm, the better it goes. up so you can see my fingers on this one as well. It's that C to E. Making sure that I'm really on top of that. And this is the reason why I wanted to stand up, especially when I'm standing up. I can feel my instrument moving around more than it should be, so I'm going to try to anchor with my thumb and my top teeth a little better here. Yeah, I can really feel it when I go to the A, I think because my finger kind of comes over this way, and I have the least fingers on the instrument there, so I can really feel that happening. So I'm going to try not to push so hard with my finger and anchor more. Let me try a half tempo and think about just being really gentle with those fingers. Now back to full tempo, as solid. That's feeling pretty good. This is a good takeaway for me to think about being really solid and steady and relaxed, especially at the slower speeds, actually, so that I can translate that solidity and solidness to whatever faster speed I go. I have about 2.5 minutes left, so let's try it in a different key. Let's see. I'll do G. That's another one that's a little bit, it's easy but a little bit unsteady. Just let me think of the transition real quick. Yeah, let's do it that way, yeah. Oh, actually, I'm going to make it really hard on myself, and I'm going to do it in the higher octave, so then I can make the contour exactly the same as here, and work on that stability up into those higher notes, because the fingerings get a little weird into those higher notes, provide the opportunity for wiggling around, and that's where you need the steadiness the most. So let's try that. Okay, now I know where I'm going. I'm going to do this like several times just to get really familiar with it and really comfortable with it. It's always the first step in every warm-up exercise is knowing the notes, and then you can think about all the technique and stuff that we want to get. And again, the timer went off, but I'm going to do the whole thing one more time all the way through to see if I can get all my fingers in the right spot. This is tricky. I don't often practice arpeggios all the way up into the altissimo. It's a really good thing to be working on for myself. And that is that. That was really good. I'm definitely making a note of that. So the two things that I'm going to write down from this is, one, thinking about holding the instrument steady even at the slower speeds was very, very, very helpful, and helpful for everything, especially as we're making these bigger leaps in these arpeggios. It's easier for the instrument to wiggle around, and that's often why we get the squeaks and everything on these notes, is because the instrument wiggles a little bit, we miss a hole, or it's actually wiggling the embouchure as well and changing the pressures on the reed, which can also cause a squeak. So that was really good to bring that up and bring that to my attention. The other thing that I'm going to write down is that I should practice the altissimo arpeggios more too, because that was my first altissimo notes of the day, so I wasn't super warmed up on them. It got better as it went, but I'm not super familiar with doing those arpeggios that high. So that was really revealing and good practice for myself as well. So that's it for today's live timeline session. If you haven't checked the links in the descriptions to get the book yourself so that you can work through these same timelines and improve, you can see I'm a professional musician. I've been playing for 17 or 18 years now. I have a master's degree in clarinet performance, and there's still little things on these very easy exercises that are really helpful for me to be doing. So it would definitely be helpful for you as well, really, no matter where you are in your journey. And again, there's 3 different levels of timelines too. This is just the middle sort of intermediate level one. So the advanced one goes into a little bit more advanced stuff and has more challenging things in there as well. But again, like I said earlier, my motto is doing the simple stuff really, really well, and that's what I'm hopefully demonstrating, is how I'm playing the right notes and rhythms, but I can really get into all those fundamental things to make it better. So check those links out in the description if you want to join and follow through with these timelines yourself, and I will see you next week. Yes, next week. I think in 2 weeks we won't have a session, but I'll talk about that later. I'll see you next week for the next live timeline session.